So today we're at a job that had been putting off for a while, and my board BM man said I can put it off no longer. That is the straightest way I can say it to you. Calving gate, of course, I have to put it into my calving pen. Now I've got away with a different yoke that I've had. You've seen me calving cows many a time in that calving pen. I'll show you the whole setup in a minute. And I've got away with that in the last few inspections, never a word said. But the last one that I got back a few months ago, and that was the recommendation that needs to go on, and I need to put it on soon because I have to upload a photo, just show evidence that I have it on. So that's why I'm working on this today and trying to get this hung up and done right. There's a bit of work to it. It's not going to be just a plug and play. So I'm in the calving pen now. Stick on an hour light here. Not that it might make any difference, but does it? No. The two calving pens are exactly the same size. I built these myself about 10 years ago, I'd say. This used to be just an open yard with a timber rail fence going down there. It used to be hard cold. Southwesterly winds would blow this way, straight into the camera, and the whole rain never get driven on top of the cows. It used to be a horrible cowl spot for a long time. Building this was great because it closed the yard in, so we have a great sheltered yard. It's actually, when you stand out there, you're sheltered from a lot of the wind that's blowing in. You'll hear it, but you won't feel it, and that's all that's important. But it also acted as two powerful calving pens, just in a great spot, very easy access and easy to get cows in. Sometimes it works out by luck, but most of the time when I'm planning something out, I plan it that one person can do it on their own. Gates just latch in a certain way where I'm fit to bring cows out here, because this is normally the pen with the first batch of cows to calve. Out that door, they go around the back, they come over here behind that wall, in through here, into that bottom gate, and up in here. And normally, unless I'm really busy, I calve most of my cows in this upper pen. So the measurements here is 12.5 foot by 15 foot. So closing that gate over, I'll just show you the way my calving pen normally would have worked. Cow's in here, cow goes to calve. Get Hunter over there towards that beam there. Unlatch this wee gate here, which is, I think it's a 7 or 8 foot. Bring it across. Once our head goes that way, bring the gate up, feed her in, chain onto that bolt, the wee bolt just hanging down there. The cow pushes against it, the chain doesn't loosen. Now the reason why I didn't put a hook or anything onto this, we were jacking the calf out of a cow. You've seen me, if you follow the channel, you've seen me in this position here several times. And if you are jacking a calf out of a cow, her back legs can give way. They can get very, very weak on their back legs, and the cow could automatically just lay down in the middle of the calf, and it happens regular. If a cow was to lay down, you want this gate to be able to pop out, to allow her the room to lay down that she has room. So the idea then is when she put the pressure on it, you just do that, and the gate will fall away from her, and she'd lay down, and then you're fine. Once she's laying, she'll normally stay laying until she calves, once the calf is kind of starting to come out of her and the pressure's on her. When the cow is in, then I open that gate out into the yard, and that gives me loads of room with my jack, which is hanging up there. That's the jack that we use, and you need room behind the cow for that jack stem to come out. So as soon as she's in, I'm fit to throw that gate out, put the jack on, the bar will go out to about there, will be about 2 foot beyond the gate, and away you go. Now I can do it with the gate closed, but I will have to go with a sort of an angle, which isn't ideal. It works, but I'd rather keep the jack as straight as I can if possible. So that's the way I do it. It has always worked. I've never had an animal get out and go away on me. She can't go really anywhere anyway, and that is my system. So if I open this 13-foot gate across, it doesn't open fully. It's 6 inches too long. I'd like to be fit to open that thing out fully against the wall, both sides, out of the way. If you're cleaning out the pens and things, it'd make it much, much simpler. I wanted to have the 2 pens in one, rather than having to lift the gate off, which I normally do, and just leave it as one piece. I could just hook it over like this gate here. Hook it over against the wall, latch it in, and that's it. No lifting off, no moving gates, simple. So going with the 12-foot option, I'd be fit to do that. I'd be fit to open to about there, I'm thinking, on both sides, and that'll be it out of the way and finished, and no lifting off, because a gate like that versus this, you don't want to be lifting it off. It's on, it's on. First thing I'm going to have to do is hang the gate, and then I'm going to have to modify this thing here, which is actually just the back gate of an old crush that I made years ago. I want to keep this because it's ideal for where the drinkers go. It's not in the way of anything. If I was to put it, the drinker anywhere along the walls, it'd always be in the way of something. So I want to leave that as it is, but I am going to have to modify it, bring it across and down to suit this shorter gate. Follow me so far? Let's tear into it. That one's lining up, but I've a feeling it's just going to be very tight. I might have to weld a plate down here, bring it down a wee bit further. Now I know there's an anchor here and an anchor here, 2 flat pieces of steel that run straight in, and I'll weld it onto that beam. So they're fine. So if I weld a wee bit down here, if I have to, that'll still be okay, that'll still hold it. So I had to think when I was buying this where I was going to position it. It always seemed the practical idea was to put it in the middle. I did consider here as well, with having the opening in this side. I also considered putting it in the outside gate, so I was always thinking around which would work best. So the reason I put it here, well, it might be quite obvious. It will work on both sides. So I'll be fit to put an animal in the low side and a fit to put an animal in on the upper side. This gate here opens both ways. But the issue in this calving pen, no matter where I hung it, would be not having enough room for the jack to go behind the cow. So the cow would come to about here. This gate opens out. So that's the reason why it's going there. I can open that gate out. It goes out completely, just the scraper sitting there now at the minute. But it goes way out there against that barrier, and that allows me the room I need for my jack, not hampered. So that's the reason why it was obvious to put it there. We're going to need a bigger grinder. I've grinded this hinge down, grinded off most of the galvanized, because weld is not going to, well, it's not going to take the galvanized. Anything this galvanized covered, what'll happen is it'll go white, it'll overheat, and it doesn't give you a good weld. So after narrowing the thing a wee bit too by cutting a bit off this side, so that when it sits on there, I know it's upside down at the minute, but when it sits on there, it'll allow me to weld up both sides. Right, so I've just welded a wee dot on here, this wee bit of a bar that I cut off the bracket. And that's going to give me an earth. Right, so that's the first one in. I need to prop it up a little bit further on that side. Just give it a little raise so it's sitting right. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. We should get a bracket on. We're not going to be too far above that plate, so we're going to get enough of grip on that plate that should hold it. The first thing I'm definitely going to have to do is take out some of this concrete, because the steel plate is sitting in, so we want to get our plate nice and flat. So we're going to come across here and just take this out. So we have this all paired out here at the minute. I'm thinking as I'm doing the job, but I think I can put this guy here straight on there like that. This is real tough stuff, and it goes in about 8 inches at least, and say there's steel in it too, so it's strong. It's like a mass concrete wall. So I'm thinking of just welding it across here and 2 bolts on the top right into that concrete, so it'll sit just like that. There she is, not touching the ground. The only thing that's stopping her going in further is the other gate that's sitting behind. Yeah, and the other gate's off. That's it. It's not that I'm going to be opening it that way very often. I'm going to open it the other way and latch it down that way, but it's nice that you can open both ways. So our gate's now on, And if Billy'd move out of the way, we have to put a post here. I've got a smile on my face because I found the post exactly for the job. And I didn't even realise I had this. And I had to think for a while to see what it was off. But this is a galvanised post here, and it even has a plate on the ground with 4 holes already in it. This post actually came off up there where I put in a temporary milking parlour when I was building my milking parlour that's there now. This here was the head gate, so the gate where the cows went out. And there is the 2 hinge points that's on it that allowed me to swing the gate open and closed. And that's what that was for. And that's been laying out the back there. I have a graveyard full of old gates and metal and stuff, and it was laying underneath a sheet of galvanise. This plate has to be cut off and re-welded on again, which isn't a big job. I have to cut these boys off here as well. I'm going to bolt that plate to the ground, and then I'm going to find me level with this post because it's leaning that way now. If I bolt it in, it's going to lean that way. And rather than propping stuff, you alright? You want to be on camera, don't you? You want to be on camera. So what I'll do is I'll bolt the plate to the ground first, and then I'll put my bar on. I'll cut it to size that it's sitting at the right angle and weld it into the plate once it's bolted down. And that'll make the job much, much easier. I ended up yesterday having to pick up a new welding mask. I have this one here that's past, I must have it 10 years, and it's been good. But I think there's something wrong with it because yesterday when I was welding, my eyes, I could feel it in my eyes. I felt like I had a squint when I was welding. I knew it last night when I went in. I could feel that strain behind my eyes, and I could feel it again this morning. I can feel it today. So I went and I bought a new one this morning. I would have rather it had been black because I only sat it down this morning, and look, so it's not going to look like that for very long. They're only stickers, I think, anyway. And I rather these ones because you can throw them anywhere and they don't look as bad. But anyway, it makes no difference. As long as it keeps my eyes safe, it's all that matters. Sit this lad here on the ground and see what way we are. We're going to line it up here now with the gate to make sure we're in the right place. We'll bore our holes and bolt that down. There she is. That's what I wanted. That's as solid can be, but it's going to be even solider when I weld it over into that girder. I have to modify all this here now and lengthen it. The best way to probably do it is to cut this bar off that's gone down here completely and just continue this over and put another bar in between, maybe 2 bars in between. This piece under here, under the drinker, that little hole there, it never was low enough. My calf, if it got itself into the right spot, could slip in underneath there and get into the other calving pen, which is no problem. They can't get out. But when you're leaving a calf with a cow at night, you'd like the calf to be with the cow. It could suck the cow, and when a calf gets trapped out there, the cow will roar all night and you can't get to the calf. So we need to solve that as well. So a wee bit of fabrication to do yet. Next thing I want to do is get this gate over, just to finish one bit at a time, and make 2 holes here for these to latch in. Right, that is our latched in, and that's not going to go anywhere. Alright, before I go any further, I just want to say something real quick. I was up at the co-op, just my local spot, picking up bolts to bolt that plate down. One of the lads that works in it came out to me, and he said, just conversation, and he said his son Owen is out in Perth in Australia, and they only live 2 miles away from us. And he said he got a phone call the other night from Owen, and he said it was a scary phone call because Owen asked, I have a policeman here with me, can you have a word with him please? So the parents got a shock of their life, and that's not the way you want to start a conversation, especially when your son's over in Australia. But in fact, the funny part of it is, Owen was talking to this policeman, and the policeman asked him where he was from. He said, I'm from Ireland. He says, well, I know that by your accent, but whereabouts in Ireland are you from? And he said he was from, well, Cavan, if you ever heard tell of it. And he put his head up in the air and he says, do you know Adrian? Well, he said my full name, Adrian Morris. Do you know that lad? And he said, yeah, he only lives 2 miles away from me. That's why they rang home, just to confirm that he was telling the truth. Just thought it funny. So Finbar is the boy's name. He's a police officer in Perth in Australia. He's originally from Derry, I'm think he's over there more than 20 years now. If you're watching Finbar, hello to you. I just thought a very, very funny story. It is a big world, but a small world in certain ways. Right, so I'm just out rooting in me graveyard out the back, and I've loads of lengths like this here. These are off cubicles, and it will do my job nicely. So the first thing I've done here, I've grinded this down. I'm going to fit a piece now, measure it out, and fit a piece over to here, grind this down the same, and join this up. And with 29% left on the battery, after 4 batteries today, we are finished. So there is our division gate now. It turned out actually well, better than I had hoped. And we put that bar across the bottom. So I can't see a calf being fit to go under there anymore. It'll certainly not fit to go under here either. I was extremely lucky to have that post. That saved me a lot of route in trying to find something that would suit. I put a bit of silver spray around all the joints as well. I have to wash the whole thing down. Calving pen has to be washed yet. I didn't get it done this year. I'll be doing that now over the next couple of days, getting it disinfected and ready for January, which isn't far away. It is a great yoke to have, and it's something I should have bought a couple of years ago, and I just never got round to it. So this one here, on cost wise, well, with VAT and all included, there was really no change out of €800. There was about 100 or 150 euro between different places at a price. I'll be taking that gate off. I'll not be using that no longer. I'm not taking it off today because I have to unbolt it, the far side of the wall. It doesn't lift off. I put it that way so a cow couldn't throw it off when she'd be in the pen. If she was getting rough or hitching over her head, it wouldn't come off. So we're fit to take off that latch as well and move all that stuff around. Another thing I also need to do is cut these threaded bars off, level with that nut. So the way this works, once the cow's in, I'll be directing her around here, catching this gate as I bring her around, pulling that over against her like that, and then her head is locked in there, maybe a bucket of meal or something to encourage her in. Just pull that there, and that'll lock her head in, and it doesn't return, so she's locked in, she can't move. So there's a notch here, which I presume is for a chain. If you want to put a chain over against the wall, that stops her from pushing the gate out with her body weight. I have to grease everything up so it works a wee bit freer. But I'm going to take a couple of photos of that now and upload it so my board be a man is happy and everybody's happy. Job's done, it will be a lot safer. It was worth doing. Anyway, that's my way of hanging a calving gate. I'm sure everybody has their own way of doing it, and maybe there's bits and pieces I've done wrong, I don't know, but it seems to be alright. It'll do the job for me, it'll be a lot safer. These girls are waiting patiently here in the dark. It's getting dark now, it's 3:30. So I have to push back the sides of them and get ready for a feed the night after milking. And these girls, they're alright, but I have to go in and do their cubicles and bedding and stuff, just the kind of routine before milking time. So I hope you enjoyed that video, thanks for watching. Let's go do something else.